The Boston Commuter Rail is a system of contrasts and quirks, but it's also a system of disconnect. The 12 lines radiating from downtown are essentially split into a north and south network, each with its own interesting features. This void has seriously impaired the network's growth, especially as the MBTA has shifted to a more regional rail-esque system, rather than a traditional American commuter rail. So it's time to fix that. This is how Boston can finally connect the commuter rail. This video is based on our opinions and plans, not any specific existing proposal. While we do take inspiration from some of these plans, it's certainly not a video about those proposals specifically. The commuter rail network, as I mentioned, comprises 12 lines, but these lines are operationally divided into the north side, which has 4 lines, and the south side with the remaining 8. This presents some unique challenges operationally. Firstly, trains regularly need to be shifted between sides for maintenance, something which can only occur infrequently and at very low speeds. There is only one single track that currently exists that connects the north and south sides anywhere near Boston, and it's called the Grand Junction branch. The Grand Junction we know today is only a fraction of its former self, with trains once extending through Everett and Chelsea, eventually reaching the airport. But this section of line has been converted into the core of the Newburyport-Rockport line and the Silver Line SL3 busway. So it's still in use, just not for its original purpose. But the section I'm focusing on is the section of track through Cambridge, specifically around the Kendall Square area and MIT. But moving back to the layout of the network, the MBTA commuter rail has possibly the most disconnected railway network in the country, only being beaten out by the insanity of Chicago's Metro. That aside, this network design limits operational flexibility and regional mobility immensely. So how do we fix it? The obvious answer is to build a north-south connector between North Station and South Station, which is something I agree with, but though a north-south rail link is the ultimate goal, that isn't happening for another few decades at least. So what can we do in the meantime? To find out, let's take a trip to Kendall Square and to a seemingly abandoned section of track, the Grand Junction. As I mentioned, this line used to run way further, all the way from here to Chelsea and the airport, but I think it can certainly play an important role in today's context. Nowadays, most people pay no attention to the railway. After all, the line only serves a handful of MBTA trains per direction per week for equipment moves, known as the Reedville Switcher, the train that shuttles equipment between the north and south side lines, as well as the ad hoc Portland Extra from Amtrak. But this is a waste of the infrastructure. After all, this line passes through Kendall Square, which is one of the world's leading innovation centers. Today, its only rail service comes in the form of a single station on the Red Line. Providing a solid rail connection from points west along the Worcester Line corridor could be a great way to further strengthen the area's importance. So far, I've only been providing context, not a concrete plan of what a new Grand Junction passenger service would look like. So let's talk about what this new service could be like. This line would start at a new Boston West station, which services the busy Boston University area. This station would feature 4 tracks with new high-density development planned above. This project is actually already in early stages, along with the realignment of several highways in the area. This is where the Grand Junction branch would interchange with the existing Worcester Line, with a cross-platform transfer being available between the 2 services. But something that could make this line really advantageous is a direct Worcester Grand Junction service, which would allow some Worcester Line trains to directly serve Kendall Square and the northern parts of downtown. After leaving West Station, the line splits off from the Worcester Line and passes over Soldiers Field Road, before simultaneously passing over the Charles River and under the BU Bridge. The Grand Junction's current bridge over the river only features a single usable track, but it's still abundantly clear where a second track was historically, something that should definitely be reinstated with the return of passenger service. Immediately after the river, the line becomes double track and runs behind many of the MIT dormitories. The line eventually reaches Massachusetts Avenue, where the current line once again becomes single track. Although, just as with the bridge over the river, the line should be duplicated for its entire length, all the way to the junction with the Fitchburg line. Along this segment, you can find some small pedestrian crossings, one of which is next to the MIT ROTC building, and would be a great spot for a new station. The line is right next to many of the MIT dorms, so this stop could be very useful for students. The line then passes over Massachusetts Avenue and under a series of buildings, creating a sort of tunnel. The line eventually pops out from under the buildings at Main Street, where the next new station would be located. This stop would interchange with the existing Red Line station at Kendall MIT via a pedestrian tunnel. This station would be the keystone for the project, with dense high-rise buildings springing up all around the station site. If they wanted to, there seems to be enough space under this building to put at least one platform, along with a new second track. This area is begging to have a station built next to it, because the area is essentially a pre-built transit-oriented development. After Main Street, the line shares a corridor with a small linear park and bike path, which is really convenient for filming. But after Binney Street, the line leaves the dense Kendall Square behind and heads in a dead straight line, passing through the residential neighborhoods of East Cambridge, before arriving at the site of our final proposed station, Medford Street. This station is definitely not as important as the first two, at least for now. The area is currently surrounded by some medium-density housing and parking lots, the exception being these two large apartment towers. But the area is definitely rapidly developing, so as the area is revitalized, a station here should definitely be part of those plans. Once the line passes over Medford Street, it curves to join the existing Fitchburg line, passing the Green Line Extension's complex flying junction and Boston Engine Terminal, which is the commuter rail's primary maintenance facility, before it joins the final approach into North Station. This is our plan for the Grand Junction that we believe could theoretically get the green light. But what if we didn't consider red tape? Then the Grand Junction could be part of something much bigger. Because if the new north-south tunnel were built, the Grand Junction could form the western part of a downtown rail loop through Cambridge and downtown, which would help more efficiently distribute riders to a wider range of destinations, without putting more stress on the already congested existing subway tunnels. So as always, huge thanks for supporting this channel, and I'll see you around.